All right, welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since I got on here. I just wanted to do this video quickly on time-based effects, and actually shout out to Lucas for this one. He wanted me to talk about how to mix like reverb and delays for projects that he's working on. So yeah, so first things first, I have 3 main tips, 3 things to just think about. Number 1, EQ your reverbs or delays. Don't be afraid to EQ them. I always look at reverbs and delays as extra instruments or voices being added into the mix. So you always want to make sure that you're fitting those extra elements into the mix just right. Number 2 is make sure you know what your pre-delay does in your reverbs. Usually in your reverbs, you'll see a parameter for pre-delay. Pre-delay is what's going to separate your vocal from the reverb, and it's going to allow you to either have a more washy sound or a more distinct sound for your reverb. So number 3 is going to be, don't be afraid to put effects on your effects. Don't be afraid to put a reverb, then a delay, then another reverb, or reverb, then a distortion plugin. Or don't be afraid to modulate your reverb. Don't be afraid to pan your reverb. Treat your reverb, like I said, like another instrument in the track. So you want to be creative with it. So yeah, let me go ahead and demonstrate this for you guys. So I have a track set up here with the vocal with a few different reverbs. As you can see on the left side, I got verb A, verb B, and I have a what's called neo verb here. It's just a different type of plugin. I got delay A and delay B. So let's play this track with reverb, and then I'll take all the effects off too so you can hear the difference.
I'm going, I know, along that road, and it feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose. Oh, and
So pay attention. Now I'm gonna bypass all these plugins and listen to the difference between the vocal before and after.
I'm going, I know, along that road, and it feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose.
Cool. Now with the reverbs and delays.
I'm going, I know, along that road.
Without
And
it.
It feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose. Oh, and I can see.
Cool. So it gives that space. So for you, Lucas, in your tracks, you might be more drastic. You might pull up the level of the reverbs, but these tips still apply. So let's look at the first tip, which is EQing your reverbs. Pretty much every single reverb or delay that I have on here has some type of EQ happening to make sure that it's fitting in the mix. So this reverb A, let's just take a listen, let's just look at what I'm doing. So what I'm doing here is just pulling out all the low end, just to make sure that it leaves room for the bass and the low parts of my vocal. So let's hear that. Actually, I don't know. Let's test this out. I'm gonna take out all the EQs that I have on these reverbs. So I actually did a few different EQs. I wonder if I could, so I can bypass that. So let's also take out the EQs that I have on the delay. Hopefully I remember that was at 43. Verb B, let's take out the reverb, the EQs. Let's take out the EQs. Delay B, let's take out that EQ and that EQ. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm -20 on there. This color, if you don't know what that is, if you're using Logic, the color on the left side is cuts out all the highs. The further left you go, and on the right side, it cuts out the low end. So it's sort of like a filter EQ. So cool. Neo verb, I have some EQ happening inside the reverb itself. So I'm actually curious to know what this is going to sound like. And take all of this with a grain of salt as well, because it could sound amazing, So sometimes you may not have to EQ the reverb. So make sure you're always listening to make sure what you're doing is helping the mix. So let's listen to this. I'm curious to know.
Every need you're taking care. So I say I'm going, I know, along that road. And it feels like
it's actually not too bad, but let's go ahead and add in each EQ separately here.
I'm going, I know, along that road.
So take a
And it
listen
feels
to
like
this here.
time's going so slow. The only life I chose. Oh, and I can see.
Forgot to take that EQ off. So this is cutting off some low end. So let's put that back. There we go. I was like, this sounds pretty good. But yeah, it was cutting off. It was cutting out some low end. So let's listen to that now.
I'm going, I know, along that road. And it feels like time's going so slow.
So let's hear the difference.
The only life I chose.
Start to bring it up.
And I can see you're in my soul. And when I bleed, you're in control.
So right now it's drastic, but you guys can see what's happening here. So I'm just cutting out those lows and making sure. That's funny. This one's not doing anything. Cutting out most of the lows and also those high frequencies. So let's listen to the difference between what this plugin is doing, what this dip is doing there, around 8K.
I'm going, I know.
So let's boost that instead.
That road. And it feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose.
So all those sounds, I'm just cutting those out just to make sure it doesn't bounce everywhere. So same type of thing throughout all of these EQs and all of these reverbs and delays. You're just fine tuning each one to make sure that each effect fits within the mix. So I don't know if that was at like 40 or something. I'm not gonna go through each and every one of these. I might be here for 30 minutes, but I just wanted to quickly go over that. So let's bring this verb back down. And let me reset all of these. Pro Q. I think this echo, I don't remember, maybe it was at 20 or something. Channel EQ, Pro Q, Neo Verb. Let's turn that back on. Set it back to normal. I might have messed some stuff up here, but that's okay. Chroma Verb. Have EQ there. Let's look at my other Chroma Verb. Let's turn this EQ back on. Cool. So I think that was it. I think that's all I changed. This echo, yeah. Yep, cool. So yeah, now second tip is gonna be making sure you know what your pre-delay is. Like become familiar with pre-delay. Become as familiar as you can with it. You don't have to get too sciencey and behind all the exact parameters, but just know what a pre-delay does. So like I said in the beginning, a pre-delay is going to separate the dry signal from the wet signal. And when I say dry and wet, what I mean is it's going to separate the vocal or whatever signal you have from the effect. So depending on how slow or fast your pre-delay is will determine how slow or fast the reverb starts. So let me demonstrate this with my verb A. Actually, let's do it with verb B because verb A actually has a delay on it. So yeah, here we go.
I'm going, I know, along that road, and it feels like time's going so slow.
So as I pull this pre-delay up, you're gonna start to hear the reverb separate from the vocal.
I'm going, I know, along that road, and it feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose. Oh,
It starts to sound more like a delay instead of a reverb. So let's solo that so you guys can really hear it. And I'm gonna make this decay shorter so you guys can see what's happening.
I'm going, I know, along that road.
So you guys can see more pre-delay means it's actually gonna delay the reverb by however many seconds you have set. So let's bring that back down.
I'm going, I know, along that
0, no pre-delay, just means it's gonna start as soon as possible. So I think you guys get it. Set it just right. So depending on what you want, usually a shorter pre-delay is gonna give you a more washy sound because your dry vocal is gonna be playing exactly the same time as the reverb. So it's gonna give you a more washy, what we call wet, a wet sound. The reverb is going to be taking over the whole sound, so you're almost getting a new vocal sound. But with your pre-delay set up, you start to.
I'm going, I know, along that
You start to get separation from the lead vocal and the reverb. So if we play that with the mix, you can't really tell as much with the mix, but you'll start to hear a little bit more of the character of the lead vocal when your pre-delay is set to a later time, because it provides that time for the listener to hear the dry vocal and then a little bit of reverb tail at the end.
I'm going, I know.
So let's turn it down a little bit.
Along that road.
All right, so you can't really tell it's there, but let's mute it.
The only life I chose. Oh, and I can see you're in my soul. And when I bleed, you're in control.
So you can hear it kind of on the tail end.
When I sleep, I know you're near.
So let's bring that back up.
My every need, you're taking care. So I say I'm going, I know. Along that road.
Cool. So more washy, shorter pre-delay, more distinct. If you want to focus on the vocals and the lyrics, you probably want a little bit more of a longer pre-delay. So for you, Lucas, you probably, I don't know, you could probably benefit from using a short pre-delay, but especially for your tracks that you're working on. But I would, ooh, 1 second, guys. Yeah, I would focus on just learning what that pre-delay is and then setting it different, trying to mess around with it just to see what it can give you in your mix. So actually, I'm going to separate this a little bit more. I'm going to go to about 40 on there. All right, so last tip of the day, I don't want to be too long with this video, is don't be afraid to add effects to your effects. Don't be afraid to affect your effects with other effects. And what I mean by this is don't be afraid. So you see here I have a reverb, and then I have an echo going right after that reverb. So I'm making the reverb delay. I'm adding an echo to the reverb. So this is a really cool trick I like to use to make the reverb sound even bigger, like way bigger than it actually is. Because you got to think about, if you're in a cave at a Grand Canyon or whatever, in a big space auditorium, there's going to be a giant reverb of the room, and then it's going to like bounce off the walls. So to make things sound a lot bigger, usually I put a delay after the reverb, but it doesn't stop there. With this reverb here, I have a tremolo. What a tremolo does is it pans things kind of left to right. Or it has the ability to pan left and right. You can do a bunch of other stuff with this as well. But it just provides some movement. With this delay, man, getting blown up. Yeah, so as you see with this delay, it just gets even more. So I got a flanger, so I got an echo, go into a flanger, go into a tremolo. Let's see what that sounds like, actually. Let's listen to that.
I'm going, I know, along that road. And it feels like time's going so slow. The only life I chose. Oh, and I can see you're in my soul. And when I bleed, you're in control.
So that sounds pretty cool, right? So we got sort of a telephone effect. I'm EQing the crap out of this signal. Got sort of a telephone effect happening here. A flanger. Let's boost the flanger up so you can hear what that actually does.
I'm going, I know, along that road. And it feels like time's going so slow.
So that's basically the effect here. Less or more, less or more of that. Yeah, so just providing some, something different, not just a normal delay. So let's listen to this as if it was a normal delay with none of that stuff.
I'm going, I know, along that road, and it feels like time going so slow. The only life I chose.
Cool. So even just these three plugins here create the sound, So this EQ is taking out a lot of the vocal, but I kind of wanted to go for that telephone effect. So we'll skip past this compressor. I'll speak about that in another video. I'm doing what's called a side chain, but that we'll do that on another video. The tremolo. So the tremolo is just gonna, like I said, make it pan just a little bit. I have it set to kind of pan a little bit left and right every quarter note, and then the EQ. So this is basically the process. So in a nutshell, three main things with your reverb. Make sure you know your EQ and your reverbs. Make sure you're fitting them in the right spot. 2, make sure you study your pre-delay. Study, just like YouTube it, and look up pre-delay and see what it does, and watch a bunch of mixing videos and see what mixing engineers are doing with their reverbs and pre-delays. And 3, don't be afraid to add effects to your effects. Don't be afraid to EQ. EQ your reverb. Don't be afraid to put delay on your reverb, or reverb on a delay, or distort, tremolo, effect, whatever you want to do. Don't be afraid to treat your reverb like it's another track, because it is. So cool. That's all I have for today. I just wanted to go over those effects there. I'll make another video about the sidechain compression on your reverbs. That's a little bit more advanced, but I will do that. Send me a comment, or something like that, just to let me know if you guys want to see a certain type of video, and I can go over that. Also, been getting some new subscribers, so if you're watching, I appreciate you. If you're new to this page, please subscribe. If you want to see more content like this. If you don't, that's cool. But even if you're not subscribed, I appreciate you for continuing to watch. Even if you're not subscribed and you're just watching this to get tips and stuff, I appreciate you. Getting blown up. So yeah, I will see you guys. Hold on, let me get off of here really quick. Cool. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys. Oh dang, so I did just get a new like and subscribe animation, so I just did that whole spiel and I forgot about that. So let me try this out. This is the first time I'm trying it out. Hold on. I don't know where it's gonna show up on this one, but so I got the thing. It's gonna click, boom, boom, wherever, if it's on top or down there. So cool. I'll see you guys. Hopefully I'll get better at that transition, but I will see you guys another time, and let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. All right.